Welcome, Kristina. I'm very, very happy to have you here. We are recording this series as part of the new video series that I'm publishing on YouTube and on our website. So I just want to learn more about you, how you are living with MS, and if you want to share where do you live and when you were diagnosed, that would be great to start with.
Well, first of all, thank you, Agota. Thank you for having me here and giving me the space and a platform to talk about my MS story and to talk about my diagnosis. I think it is really good that you are doing this that people can share their different experiences and the ways they overcame MS. I think it's very valuable for others, especially newly diagnosed, to come across this information and to learn that there is hope and there is life after diagnosis. That when you get diagnosed, everything seems so bleak and so dark. So the stories of hope are really, really valuable. So thank you. And I want to introduce myself. I'm from Serbia and I live in Serbia. I got diagnosed with MS in 2019. May of 2019, actually. So soon it will be my 6-year anniversary. And after 6 years, I can tell that I'm still standing, in the words of Elton John. And maybe I can tell even that I'm better than ever. So I'm much more healthier now than I was before diagnosis, so to speak, because of all the changes I introduced. But to go back to the beginning, my diagnosis story is a bit complex. I'm one of those people that it took time to get diagnosed. So I first have had symptoms for years before diagnosis, and doctors really didn't recognize them. So yeah, it took a couple of years to get a proper diagnosis, especially because my symptoms presented as psychiatric symptoms, anxiety, and things like that. From 2016, I started to have panic attacks and constant anxiety. At least doctors thought that what I had were panic attacks. It looked more like seizures. I cannot even describe it, but they diagnosed it as panic attacks. So first symptoms presented that way, but later symptoms were much more physical. So in 2019, when I got diagnosed, I actually had a really bad relapse, really disabling relapse. So I had multiple symptoms. I had ataxia. I don't know if you know what is that actually. It is a lack of coordination. So you lose the ability to coordinate muscle movements. So my left and right side didn't work in coordination. My right side, it was like having a dead weight on my right side. My right arm wouldn't move voluntarily. My right leg didn't move well. I had a really funny gait. I also had a foot drop, so I dragged my feet. I had loss of balance. When I closed my eyes, I would fall over instantly. I had problems with speech. I had problems swallowing. Let me see. I really had so many symptoms at the time of diagnosis. It was really a bad time in my life. I had a lot of numbness. I had numbness in my face and my arm and in my leg. And that numbness felt like, when you go to the dentist or you have some procedure and you get anesthesia and you lose all the feeling in that part of your body. And that felt like that. So I have a lot of numbness, a lot of sensory problems, balance issues, coordination issues. I didn't have fine motor movement skills. For example, I couldn't write. I couldn't brush my teeth. I couldn't brush my hair. I really had quite a lot of difficulty functioning and walking. And I had also vertigo. That was my first symptom that started that relapse. So it really was bad, and it was progressing very quickly, and it progressed so much that I ended up in hospital, being hospitalized for a whole month. And that's when I got diagnosed. And that's when they, for the first time, did an MRI scan. An MRI scan of my brain showed that I have multiple lesions in my brain, and I had 16 active lesions. So, yeah, it was extremely bad, very, very bad.
16 lesions, it's a lot, especially if they are all active. Did you experience anything in your life that you can think of it's contributed to this, everything just collapsing?
Yes, I think that is a usual way the story goes for the MS people. I think the stress is a major trigger, especially emotional stress. Uh, at that time, I was doing my PhD studies in philosophy, so that was a stressful all by itself. I was also in a relationship that wasn't healthy for me at all, and it was emotionally draining and really not good for me, very stressful. So I had a lot of things on multiple in multiple life areas that I was stressed about, and it was like a perfect storm somehow. And I just found myself in the eye of the storm, and everything broke down. So yes, I had major life stressors at that time, and I think they triggered actually that relapse and all that followed. And I can say now that stress is definitely one of the major, if not a major, trigger for me. Whenever I have stress, my symptoms get worse. So, yeah, I think that is experience for a lot of people, actually.
Yes, yes, I heard similar stories, a lot of them. Tell us how you were able to turn things around.
Well, that was a process. That was quite a long journey. I think you also had quite a long journey with really experimenting and trying to find your way through all the information. When you get diagnosed and you go on the internet, you get overwhelmed with every possible solution and every possible thing that you should try, that you should do, and it is really, really hard to
And you
parse
don't know
through
what to
everything.
listen to. You don't know if you should
Yeah.
listen to people who live with MS or you should listen to the medical field or both and how to figure out what works best for you. So yes, it's really, really complicated.
Yeah, it is complex, and it is trial and error, and everything. It is quite a personal journey and process. So you have to find out for yourself what will work for you and what you are comfortable with. For example, I decided not to take a DMT, disease modifying drugs. So I'm not on any medication, and I was never on any medication for multiple sclerosis, even though I have quite aggressive presentation of illness at the beginning, and doctors wanted to start me on the high efficacy drugs. I just couldn't. I just couldn't live with that risk, because soon after my diagnosis, because I really um, I really went through a lot in the medical system, a lot of gaslighting, a lot of misdiagnosis because of anxiety and all the things. It wasn't linear path, and it was rough. So I really lost my trust, unfortunately, in the doctors and medical system. And that is not a good thing. That is not the thing I'm happy about, but that happened actually in the beginning when I started to present with health problems. I really believed everything doctors said. I really listened to them. I never ever doubted them. But then I had experience that will show me that I should have doubted them, and they do make mistakes. They are human, and they do make mistakes. But so I went to the other extreme, and I got really serious health anxiety and medical anxiety, and you could even say I got pharmacophobia. So I really, even the idea of doing taking MS drugs really didn't sit well with me.
You
Uh,
weren't scared? I mean, you weren't thinking that if you take those drugs, it's gonna slow down the progression, it's gonna make you feel better. You weren't thinking about that part?
Yeah, I was actually thinking a lot about everything for 3 years after diagnosis from 2019 and 2022. I was really in the dilemma and really torn apart between the choice to take drugs and choice not to take drugs. I am very aware that there is risk associated with both of those choices. So there is risk in not taking drugs and maybe then letting the illness progress to who knows where. And there is a risk in taking drugs also. There are side effects, especially with high efficacy drugs. There are really potentially bad side effects, even though they are rare, and I'm also aware of that. They are also possible. It is MS is a rare disease. There is quite a small chance that anybody will get MS, but it happened in my case. That rare, that rare possibility happened in my case.
It's
So
not
why?
rare anymore, unfortunately. I don't know how many
Yeah.
people do you know in Serbia who were diagnosed. Do you know anybody?
Well, yes, after I got diagnosed, I started to meet more and more people. Some people I met there in the hospital when I was in hospital, and some people I met after I went to hospital. I even now, because maybe I'm paying attention, so
Yes.
it seems like I always bump into the people that have MS since I got diagnosed. Maybe we just attract each other. I'm not sure.
Could be.
Yeah. So yeah, I was really, really torn apart between that decision not to do drugs or to do drugs. I even settled at some point that I will take DMT, and my choice was Mavenclad. So because you take that for 2 years, and after that you're done, so it seemed like a perfect compromise to take it and then be hopefully be okay for some time, and I even got approved to do that, but I just couldn't. I was so stressed out of my mind. Just the thought of drinking that medicine, it really, I went into spiral. So for my mental health, I realized that for my mental health and for my well-being, I have to make a decision to try without the drugs, because I cannot force it. I think for example, I believe in the placebo. If you believe something that will work for you, it may work for you as a placebo just because you believe it. But there is also a nocebo effect. If you believe that something will harm you, it may harm you just because you believe it will. So I was afraid that I would affect nocebo on myself with the drugs, because I really was so focused on the negative sides
Yeah.
and potential side effects that I would even cause some negative side effects just with that fear. So I had to make that decision, and in 2022 I finally decided that I will continue going without
Mhm.
the DMTs.
Did you start anything, diet, meditation, anything while you were making this decision to get your life back on track?
Yeah, well, I started from the beginning. From the beginning, I was certain that I have to do something, even if I don't do drugs. That sounds pretty bad. Even if I don't do drugs, even if I don't take DMTs, I have to do something to ensure that I will keep MS progression at bay as much as I can. MS is not an easy disease, and that's not a fun disease. So you have to do everything you can to really help yourself, make yourself feel better. And I really then went into a rabbit hole trying to search what alternative things I can do. And I tried a lot of things. And I think maybe it is best to say what I settled upon finally and what I think helped me the most. And I think there are a couple of things that everyone who lives a healthy lifestyle will always pinpoint. So nutrition is extremely big. For me, I think it was one of the things that really changed my health for the better. In the beginning, the first nutritional protocol I came upon is Overcoming MS from Dr. Georgi Jelinek.
Yes.
So I tried that in the beginning. And I stuck with that for first couple of years, and I did see some benefit. And as time progressed, I did get gradually better and better, but I wasn't still symptom-free, and I wasn't without relapses, and I wasn't completely stable. So it wasn't helpful all the way. But then in 2023, I found somebody else and I started her protocols. Her name is Dr. Brooke Goldner. Her Goodbye Lupus protocol. Well, all I can say that changed my life. That really changed my life. This protocol is very specific. Overcoming MS is plant-based plus fish.
Okay.
That's basically it. Whole food, plant-based plus a fish. I think that is nutritional part. Goodbye Lupus protocol. It is vegan. It is plant-based, but it is raw food. It is only raw food, but not just any raw food. It is really focused on hypernutrition, so to speak. It is focused on overdosing yourself with foods, overdosing on certain nutrients using certain foods. For example, cruciferous vegetables that are really full of nutrients, vitamins, and minerals. So really incorporating them quite a lot in your diet, and overdosing on omega-3s, for example, using flax and chia seeds and things like that. So it is really focusing on healing food and food that are anti-inflammatory, so your body can really deal with all that inflammation, so to speak, and can really heal. And I think that best thing, if anyone is really curious about it, I think they are best to Google because I won't do justice really explaining this product.
I definitely gonna check it out. My question is, you don't eat any fish, any meat, only getting omega-3s from flaxseed and chia seed. Are you taking any additional omega-3 supplements?
No. Actually, what I love about this protocol that it really simplified things for me. It really made things extremely simple, and it also not just that it made things extremely simple, it healed me so much that I'm still taken aback by the progress I have made with this protocol. After I didn't have any symptoms since I started this protocol. It will be 2 years soon. So 2 years is not a very long time, but 2 years without symptoms after the history like mine, where I was having quite a lot of symptoms and quite a lot of debilitating symptoms and aggressive presentation of MS. This is, for me, it is miraculous.
Do you eat the broccoli and cauliflowers, the cruciferous vegetables, raw?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And I
It's so
learned,
interesting because when I started making my smoothies, I was putting raw broccoli in my smoothie, and then I was asking my nutritionist at that time, is that okay? And she's like, it might be hard on your digestion, but if you want, just boil it. So that's why I'm asking. I'm very fascinated by that.
well, it may be hard on your digestion, but your digestion will adapt over time. And if it is hard on your stomach, you just go slowly. You don't drink 2 liters in
Yes.
one sitting, but you drink a small glass and then you make a pause of 2 hours not drinking it and then drink quite some sips or something like that. So you go small and you build your gut in a way. Your gut is also like a muscle. If you don't train it with foods, it won't be able to process it. So when you really are consuming certain type of foods, you will also develop certain bacteria and microorganisms that will be able to handle that type of food. For example, people that stop eating meat, they don't have a certain bacteria that is needed for a meat to be processed. So when you introduced meat after some time of not eating meat, it will be hard on your digestion because you lost that bacteria that you would have if you continued eating. So you just go slow, and with time you build. But even if you boil it, you will lose some compounds and nutrition that is available when you eat it raw. When you have one autoimmune disease, you always somehow learn about others. And I watched a lot of podcasts. So I just stumbled upon a podcast where she was a guest. I think it was some plant-based podcast. So and I was really quite curious about the information I heard. I was a bit skeptical at first, honestly, because it sounded too good to be true.
Yeah.
And but then I tried it. I really, after some time, I didn't try it immediately. I learned about that information in 2022, and I didn't try it until a year later. I think it is not an easy protocol to follow, her protocol, but it is very, very effective, really extremely effective. So even just, you don't have to follow her whole protocol, even just including a hypernourishing part.
Yes.
She does that by exactly by using green smoothies, but you have certain minimums of cruciferous veggies and flax and chia that you have to put in that smoothie to really meet that minimal amount to consider that you are hypernourishing. So you can only do hypernourishment on your existing diet and still feel some benefits. But if you want to experience potential complete healing, you will just have to go all in with the strictest protocol. So, and I'm doing that. For example, I'm doing the strictest protocol for, let's say, 2 or 3 months, and then I'm eating cooked food and whole food plant-based, but eating normally, not just raw and hypernourishing besides that. And then I just, because I want to keep my results, I just do a couple of weeks or months of completely raw.
Was it hard to change your diet, or it was a must?
It was a
Mentally.
must.
Mentally.
Yeah, it was a must. I think that it was hard, but I didn't feel that I have any way other than that, because I didn't felt like I have a choice, because I decided I didn't have even that safety net that would at least mentally feel like safety net if I would take a DMT, you know. I didn't have even that to fall back upon. So I really have to ensure that I was doing everything I could in order to stay well and get well. So there wasn't a leeway for fooling around. What I can say, nutrition is not enough if you are not well mentally, emotionally, if you are stressed. But I want to preface that life itself is stressful. So you cannot avoid stress. If you are a living being, you cannot avoid stress, and not every stress is bad. So exercise is a stressor for the body, and exercise is really extremely good for your health. So not every stress is bad, and what is mostly bad is chronic stress. And what is also bad is inability, having inflexible nervous system, so inability to shift from aroused, stressed state back to rest and digest, parasympathetic state of nervous system. So what was the second most important thing for me was working on my nervous system health, capacity and regulation, and really my emotional health and well-being, and my resiliency and ability to tolerate stress and ability to bounce back from stressful events and situations. And really also what ties into that is working on your mindset. It really, you have to shift your mindset completely in a way. And yeah, that was the second most important thing, I think,
So I
besides
assume you're not
nutrition.
with your boyfriend anymore?
What?
I assume you're not with your boyfriend anymore?
Oh, no. No, that ended when my MS started. So that's a long gone story. So, but I think that is, you mentioned in one of your Instagram reels and videos that nutrition is an easy part, actually, that mindset is what's harder part to
Yeah.
work, because nutrition, you decide what you're going to do, and you know what you have to do, and there is no much thinking involved. Yes, you train your discipline, and it requires quite a lot of self-discipline, and in the beginning you have to find the right way to eat for yourself and things like that. But working on your mind is extremely hard, because there are lots of limiting beliefs that are held inside, deep inside your unconscious, and there is a lot of things that are stored in the body itself, not just in our mind. You know, that book that is called The Body Keeps the Score. And really, the body does keep the score of everything that has happened throughout our life. And all the things we didn't release, we have held onto them. All the traumas we held onto. So yeah, that is the harder work.
And if you don't focus, if you don't pay attention, you remember the bad part. You don't remember the good part was fun and you just move on, but something hurt you, you're gonna remember years and years later. But if you rewire your mind or train your brain, that you can just let everything go and just be present and live for the future, not on the bad past.
Yes, and being present and letting go of the past I think that is something I'm still working on. Letting go of all the resentments and all the bad choices from the past and everything, just not holding on to. I think holding on to the past, even when it is bad, or of the bad parts of it, I think that is somehow a self-protective mechanism. You want to ensure that you do not repeat some things. So maybe you are constantly reminding yourself of
But
that, and
that's
you are.
that's trust. You have to trust yourself enough that you're not gonna make the same mistake. That's trust.
Yes. Yes. So developing self-trust and self-compassion as well, because I think self-compassion is really crucial. a lot of people, especially people that have a diagnosis of autoimmune diseases, tend to be very hard on themselves. I know I am extremely hard on myself. So finding that self-compassion and understanding and really becoming gentle with myself was really a key. In a way, becoming a parent towards myself, reparenting yourself in a way that you needed to be held and nurtured. So I think that is also the most important work you will have to do.
I love that. I love that you actually had to be your parent for yourself. I think that's very nicely put.
Yeah.
And now that I'm a parent, it's a little bit overwhelming to think like I am a parent for myself too. But
Yeah, you probably need a break from parenting, not another
yes,
child.
but it's so interesting how I just saw that quote the other day, how we are not the one who are teaching our childrens are teaching us. Did you get to a level where you have to forgive your ex-boyfriend and for yourself and not blame yourself for being diagnosed with MS?
Oh, okay. That is quite a loaded question. Well, forgiveness. I think I'm still working on that part, but I think forgiveness is quite tied to understanding and awareness. The more you are aware of human nature and that mistakes and are part of being human, and people make mistakes in a way, and that all the things I did that I believed contributed to my illness, I didn't do because I didn't do intentionally. I did because I was not aware. I did not know better. And often when you hurt yourself, air quotes, or others hurt you, maybe they didn't do it completely intentionally. Maybe they were unaware. They just did not know better. Maybe they relived their own patterns and traumas and their own triggers that they should heal and things like that. It is complex. So I'm not sure that I can say that I forgave completely, but I feel that I have much more understanding and different perspective on things that happened and things I did. And I am much more understanding towards my younger self. You could even say that I did forgive her, because I know that whatever she did, she just did not know better. She really was not aware enough. I was, for example, I was taking my health completely for granted when I was healthy, because I did not know what ill looked like, and I did not know the real value of health when I was healthy. So I just learned after my diagnosis the value of health, and I then became aware and stopped taking things for granted. Being functional, being mobile, being able to do things, not being fatigued. I just took all those things for granted, but that was not intentionally. I just was not aware, did not know better. So I think in that way I did forgive myself, because now I understand, um, uh, not just that I wasn't aware, but that I was reliving some kind of patterns from my childhood. And you are always thrown, as Heidegger says, you are always thrown into a world. You are not just born without outside of any context. You are born into a certain culture, in a certain family, in a certain context that will really shape the way you develop and grow, and what you become, and what you start to believe, and how you behave. it will really shape and it will direct your life up to the point that you are become aware that it is directing your life. Some people become aware without something bad happening to them, but I'm not one of those people. For me, it needed something to really shake me, to really, you know,
Wake you up in a way.
yeah, something big. I needed something big because I was really asleep in a way, in a trance, so to speak, really living my life on autopilot, really living not authentically, not in a way I felt like I was not living my life, like I was living someone else's life. So I think that is also a big thing. Uh, Listening to your needs and living authentically. Uh, I think a lot of people, especially women with autoimmune diseases, we often ignore ourselves and our needs and our desires and live for the other people and for the culture and society and our family. So I think we should really come back to ourselves, and this diagnosis really woke me up to that realization.
Thank you for sharing. I that was beautiful. Thank you. Do you believe in coincidences?
Well, when I was younger, I was quite a scientifically oriented. I had quite scientifically oriented mind, so I did not really believe in coincidences. I somehow felt that was a woo-woo thinking and wishful thinking. But after my diagnosis, I really started to change my thinking and my perception. So I became much more spiritually oriented. So I somehow, even my experience is that there is a reason behind things. I'm not sure that I'm trying to, impose purpose and reason and explanation. Maybe I am, but it is definitely helpful for me to think in that way, that there is a purpose behind things that happen, and to give some kind of explanation that is meaningful for me. So even if even if it is all baloney and bullshit, so to speak, I don't care. If it helps me, that's all I care about. So I do now think that things happen for a reason, and the more I believe that, the more things that are seemingly coincidental happen that really wove together nicely to create something beautiful, like it was in a way destined to happen. So yeah, that would be my 5 cents.
The reason I ask you is because before you were mentioning that what shapes us, and also you mentioned what makes you feel better, what you believe. And recently, I don't know if you believe in reincarnation, but I learned through reincarnation that you actually choose your parents and where you born, and because you are here to learn lessons, and life is a lesson in general, and there are no coincidences. Whatever happens to us, first of all, yes, we can deal with it and we can overcome it, but the overcoming is also a process. So thank you for sharing your story here. Thank you.
Well, I want to add that I love that you mentioned all of that, because I lately in my healing journey I also started to go much more in the on the path of Buddhism and Buddhist teachings. So I really now am at a point where I do believe that in karma, that is the consequences of our actions, and that we all live our karma, that is the consequences of our actions. So maybe this was the karma that was intended for me. Maybe it all happened for a reason. I certainly had quite a lot of lessons to learn. And MS was one of the greatest teachers I had in my life. Really. It is weird to say, but when I think about the type of my personality, I somehow think that MS was a perfect disease. That is really weird to say, but it was a perfect disease for my type of personality because if it was something that I could be cured of quickly and done over with, I would not learn and I would fall back into my habits and destructive habits and all that. So I had to have something like MS that is always present in the background, that is
Or
always
at
keeping.
least that's what the doctors told us, that it's always
Yeah.
so that that little thing is always in our mind. That's really hard to take out.
You are always on your toes. You always have to be
You don't
somehow
have to be, but
conscious.
you are.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I have to be really mindful about how I live my life. And that is not a bad thing. Actually, I really enjoy the way I live my life now. I really enjoy what I became because of MS.
I
Earlier,
I see a super strong woman in front of me, and you should be very, very proud what you become and what you accomplished. And one thing that I just keep thinking since we started this conversation is I've been in this country, in America, for 20 years, and my English is not as good as yours. And you live in Serbia. So that's kind of like, I'm making me think maybe I had MS since I'm 18.
no, your English is really good. And thank you for saying that. That really feeds my ego. And you know that I felt really insecure about talking because this is my first time. As I said before we started this interview, maybe you can hear in the beginning of the video, I was very nervous and my voice was trembling and things like that. And I was also insecure about my English and how I will sound because I do not have many opportunities to express myself in English. In Serbian, I would say all those things much more eloquently and beautifully. And this is spinning my wheels in my brain. So,
Good.
well, it was really it is nice experience, and thank you really for offering me this opportunity and this experience.
I think all of us learned a lot from you, so thank you for sharing. Is there anything else you would like to add?
Well, I always remember myself in that hospital bed, getting the diagnosis and looking up what MS is and not finding really good news about that. I just want them to know that, as I said in the beginning, there is hope and there is life after this diagnosis. Everyone's circumstance will be different, everyone's situation will be different, but there is a lot you can do, you personally can do to improve your health and to improve your outcomes. Maybe you will choose to take DMT, and that is okay. And you choose to do both healthy lifestyle and DMT, whatever works for you. But there are numerous options available. You are not helpless. In the beginning, I felt really helpless and really scared. But I just want them to know that they are not helpless and they should try to take their power back through really through gentle self-discipline, really finding what they think they want to try to incorporate, and I'm sure that will provide some benefit to them.
Yes, listening to your gut always. That's the best thing you can do.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you so much. Thank you.